At midnight, one of them is dead. By morning, all of them are suspect. It's a party to end all parties, but not everyone is here to celebrate. On New Year's Eve, Rhys Lloyd has a house full of guests. His vacation homes on Mirror Lake are a successful, and he's generously invited the village to drink champagne with their wealthy new neighbors. By midnight, Rhys Lloyd will be floating dead in the freezing water of the lake. On New Year's Day, Ffion Morgan has a village full of suspects. The tiny community is her home, so the suspects are her neighbors and friends and family. And Ffion has her own secret to protect, with a lie to uncover at every turn. Soon, the question isn't who wants Rhys dead, but who finally killed him. In a village with this many secrets, murder is just the beginning. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. In today's video, we are going to be doing a review for the book called The Last Party by Clare Mackintosh. This book had me on the edge of my seat until the very last page. This book has 432 pages. It was my November choice for Book of the Month in 2022, and yes, I'm just getting around to reading it, and I rate this book 5 stars. It is a murder mystery thriller suspense book, and I was wrong about who was the murderer the entire book. And you don't find out who's the murderer in this book until the very last page. So you have to complete the book to figure out who did it. And this book is written in multiple points of views for many different characters in the book. So the book starts off with a New Year's Eve party thrown by Rhys Lloyd. Rhys Lloyd owns a vacation home property that has multiple houses on a lake. Now this book takes place in the United Kingdom, between it's England on one side and Wales on the other. That is important to note because there's some conflict throughout the book between England and Wales. Keep that in mind. So Rhys Lloyd is throwing his New Year's Eve party. Party's going well. And then the next day, New Year's Day, Rhys Lloyd is found at the bottom of the lake, murdered. And everyone in the small town is a suspect. Now what makes this book interesting is everyone in the party and everyone in the town has a reason to why they possibly could be the murderer, even his own mama. But the detective that's working, there's 2 detectives on this case, Ffion Morgan and Leo. Ffion Morgan grew up on the lake, and she's come back into town because she's going through a divorce, and she knows the area really well. So they invite her on this case, and then there's a new guy named Leo. Leo has his own issues with his family because he has a son that he doesn't really get to see for many different reasons, and that plays out in the book as well. But these 2 are working on the case. Now, even Ffion Morgan has a reason why she would possibly want Rhys Lloyd dead. He is not considered a suspect in the case, but to Leo, he noticed some things throughout the book. He finds out a big secret about Ffion that makes him believe that she should be a suspect. Rhys's wife is a suspect. In her case of Rhys's wife being a suspect, I'll say her motives is money-based I won't tell you how much money, based her. And it's also a little family squabble between her and Rhys, because Rhys's dad died and his mother is mad that their land around the lake was left to Rhys and not Rhys's mother. So that's their issue. His wife's issue is based off of money. Ffion's issue with Rhys, you'll have to read about that because I did not see that coming. And on one hand, Rhys is loved by the town because he's like the town star. He's a musician, he's an actor, but is his career really going as great as everyone in the town thinks it is? Question mark. And this book was also heartbreaking because of what happened to Ffion, the detective in this book. And what happened to her does affect her objectivity on this case, which makes Leo think she's the one who's done it. But I mean, every chapter you think you know who done it and you have very good reasons to believe this person done it, and then you find out you're wrong because there's another piece of evidence and then you find out evidence may have or may not have been tampered with, so that throws off the story. And the fact that this book is written in multiple viewpoints from like many different characters in the book, it throws you off the trail of who done it. And I was reading, talking to my mother, and like, Ma, I think I know who done it. And then I found out I was wrong. It was just like, am I ever going to be right about who committed the murder? Turns out I was not right whatsoever. I was completely wrong. And you don't find out till the very last page. There is a picture in the book that shows you a map of the lake and how the lake is divided. One side of the lake is considered England and the other side of the lake is considered the Welsh or Wales. I mean, the multiple viewpoints of this book really blew my mind because listening to Rhys's mother about how she felt about the lake property made me realize how badly she missed her husband, but also how she felt betrayed by her husband because her husband left their land to their son. And then when Ffion's story starts to develop, you feel bad for her because of something that happened to her when she was a teenager between her and Rhys. Then you'd start thinking, why is your wife so angry with you? Why is Rhys's wife so angry with him? And then you learn it has something to do with their children and money and just not getting along, and she wants a divorce, all of those things. And then you get introduced to another character who borrowed money and why she's grateful to Rhys but also has a problem with Rhys. And then you learn about Rhys's childhood and how he was a bully to one of the characters and that's why she has a problem. Everybody has a problem with this man. But he's also loved because he is a star. Like, how can you love him and hate him at the same time? And then even your business partner, the one that went together on this multiple properties on the lake called the Shore. It's like a bunch of houses on the lake that they own together. Even your business partner has an issue with you for one reason or another about how the splits of who owns more of property than the other came out. And then there's affairs and marital issues going on. This book, when I tell you it's insane from start to finish, you will not want to put it down whatsoever. I don't even know like when I'm ranking this book because I'm starting to work on my mid-year rankings of all the books I've read so far. It is in the competing spot for top 1 and 2 because it was just that good. So it is something you should read if you like whodunit, murder mysteries, suspense, psychological things. But be careful, because I would say check the trigger warnings for this book. Certain parts of the book can be triggering when you find out certain information about certain characters, like what happened to Ffion could be triggering to people, what happened to Carrie could be triggering to people. So there are some touchy subjects in this book. So I would say read the trigger warnings for this book. And if you are a part of a book club, this book does come with 10 discussion questions in the back of the book. So you guys can create a group discussion around this book. I mean, I think if you were in a book club, you guys would have a powerful discussion on how what you've done in the past can ultimately come back to haunt you. Because forgiveness does play a part in this book, because I feel like if what Rhys has done, there is no excuse for anything that Rhys has done to multiple different people in this book. But I also feel like just maybe if the characters would have forgiven him, they didn't have to be friends with him or trust him ever again, but if they could have forgiven him for the things he's done to multiple different people, maybe, just maybe, I'm not 100% sure, I will never know because this is a book, maybe if there could have been some forgiveness, maybe Rhys Lloyd would have never got murdered in this book. Because a lot of people, even after he died and they were trying to solve his murder, you really saw how people truly felt about him, even though he was like the town star because he was a musician. He had a career. The town felt like they discovered him. He even came back to his old school to teach a music camp. So he was loved in a lot of ways, but he was also hated in a lot of ways in the same town. Even though he tried to create a luxurious multi-home vacation spot in his small town, people really didn't appreciate that either because of the whole England versus Wales and the Welsh, because of how the lake was split in half. One side was England, one side was Welsh. So I still don't agree with what happened to Rhys Lloyd, but I can also understand why the person did what they did, or why multiple people did what they did to try to harm him. But that doesn't make it right in the slightest. I'm not going to tell you who did it at all. That's something you are going to have to read for yourself. This is the first book in the DC Morgan series. There is another DC Morgan, which means Detective Morgan. So the character Ffion Morgan you will see again in the next DC Morgan book, which is going to be called A Game of Lies, is the next book in the DC Morgan series. The book will be 400 pages, and it is set to come out sometime next year. Maybe next year or the end of this year. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, I'm always thinking of you, sending my love, and bye for now.